The air in Hell Creek is thick, humid, and heavy with the scent of rotting fern and swamp water. It is 66 million years ago, and the dawn is breaking over a landscape that does not forgive mistakes. You don't hear him first, you feel him. A rhythmic tremor in the mud, a subtle ripple in the stagnant pools. 7 tons of muscle, bone, and pure evolutionary perfection is moving through the dense cypress forest with the silence of a ghost. This is not the roaring monster of the movies. This is a Tyrannosaurus rex, an apex predator that has spent 30 years mastering the art of the kill. His skin is a mosaic of tough, dark scales and sparse, bristly proto-feathers, scarred from a lifetime of battles. Every step is calculated. His massive bird-like feet, cushioned by thick, soft pads, spread his weight so perfectly that not even a dry twig snaps under his 3-inch claws. He is hungry. A hunger that requires hundreds of pounds of fresh meat to satisfy. Above him, the sky is clear, but in the shadows of the ferns, the king is invisible. His binocular vision, superior to that of a modern hawk, locks onto a movement half a mile away at the edge of the riverbank. A small group of Triceratops is grazing, their massive horns gleaming in the morning light. To any other predator, those horns are a death sentence. To the Rex, they are a challenge. He doesn't rush. He knows the physics of his own body. A full sprint is a last resort. Instead, he uses the terrain, keeping his massive head low, his tail acting as a counterweight, slipping between the giant redwoods like a shadow. His nostrils flare, catching the pungent, musky scent of the herbivores. His olfactory bulbs, the largest of any meat eater, provide him with a 3D map of the forest. He can smell their fear before they even know he's there. The trap is being set. The siege of Hell Creek has begun. You are about to witness the most sophisticated hunting machine nature ever devised in action. Before the first bone snaps, make sure you're subscribed to see how the king claims his throne. Because the next 60 seconds will determine who eats, and who becomes part of the fossil record. To understand why this creature owns the creek, we have to look inside the machine. This is not just a lizard grown large. This is a 7-ton masterclass in biological engineering. Forget what the movies told you. If you stood still, a T-Rex wouldn't just see you. He would see you in high definition. His eyes, the size of grapefruits, are set wide apart on his massive skull, granting him binocular vision that exceeds even a modern hawk. He doesn't just see movement. He calculates depth, distance, and trajectory with terrifying precision. But his greatest gift isn't his sight, it's his mind. Deep within that heavy bone structure lies the largest olfactory bulb of any carnivorous dinosaur. To a T-Rex, the forest isn't just trees and shadows, it's a 3D map of scents. He can taste the air, tracking a wounded Edmontosaurus from miles away, following the invisible trail of blood and fear through the thickest canopy. And then, there is the bite. 12,000 pounds of bone-crushing pressure. That is the equivalent of having 3 small cars stacked on a single tooth. Most predators slash or bite to cause bleeding. Not the Rex. He bites to delete. His teeth aren't knives. They are serrated railroad spikes, designed to puncture thick hide, snap through solid bone, and crush the very marrow inside. Every muscle in his neck is a cable of pure power, allowing him to thrash a 1,000-pound carcass like a rag doll. But power requires balance. Look at his tail, a massive, rigid counterweight that allows him to pivot his multi-ton body with the grace of a dancer. He isn't slow. He is a locomotive with a steering wheel. He has spent hours closing the gap, his senses feeding him every detail of his target's position. The Triceratops up ahead is powerful, armored, and deadly, but it is playing a game of checkers while the king is playing chess. He has found the perfect angle. The wind is in his favor. The ground is soft enough to muffle his approach. But even the perfect weapon can be defeated by a single mistake. Because at Hell Creek, the prey fights back with 3-foot horns of solid bone. The king is about to make his move. Don't blink. because the collision is coming, and in this world, there are no second chances. Next, we meet the target, and the prehistoric standoff that defined an era. Across the clearing, the shadows shift, revealing the objective. This is not an easy meal. This is a 10-ton mobile fortress, a creature built for a singular purpose, to survive the king. The Triceratops horridus. Look at the silhouette. 3-foot horns made of solid bone, backed by a massive frill that acts as a biological shield for the neck. This isn't a prey animal that runs. This is a warrior that stands its ground. You can hear the rhythmic grinding of their teeth as they strip tough ferns, a sound that masks the soft thud of the T-Rex's approach. The Rex stops. He's scanning. His binocular vision is picking apart the herd, looking for the one thing every predator needs: a mistake. He spots him. An older bull, slightly separated from the group, favoring his left hind leg. A legacy of a past battle, perhaps, but today, it's a target. The wind shifts. For a split second, the forest goes silent. The birds stop their chatter. The insects go still. And then, the old bull raises his head. He doesn't see the Rex yet, but he feels the change in the air. The musky scent of a carnival. He lets out a low, guttural bellow, a warning that echoes through the trees, vibrating in the Rex's chest. The herd reacts instantly. They don't scatter like deer. They move with military precision, forming a circle of horns, a wall of bone and anger that faces outward. The king is forced to wait. He knows that a direct charge into that wall is suicide. One wrong move, and a horn through the lung ends his 30-year reign in seconds. This is the standoff that has defined the Cretaceous for millions of years. The ultimate offense against the ultimate defense. The Rex begins to circle, his massive tail swaying, his eyes never leaving the old bull. He is looking for a gap, a momentary lapse in focus, a single opening to launch 7 tons of fury. The stage is set. The actors are in place, and the first drop of blood is about to hit the dust of Hell Creek. Stay tuned, because the siege is about to break, and the roar you're about to hear is the last thing many creatures in this forest will ever know. The air in the clearing is so still, you can hear the heartbeat of the forest. The standoff has lasted for nearly an hour. The Triceratops herd is weary. The old bull, his left leg trembling under his massive weight, shifts just a few inches to find a firmer footing. And in that heartbeat, the king explodes. He doesn't waste energy on a roar. He saves every ounce of oxygen for the strike. 7 tons of apex predator lunges from the shadows of the redwoods, covering the clearing in a terrifying, ground-shaking blur. This isn't a mindless charge. It's a surgical masterclass in physics and violence. He bypasses the wall of horns, using his rigid tail as a rudder to pivot his massive frame with impossible grace. The collision is seismic. The sound of 7 tons hitting 10 tons echoes like a thunderclap through the humid valley, a dull, wet thud that vibrates in the mud. The Triceratops tries to pivot, to bring those 3-foot daggers to bear, but the Rex is already inside the guard. Those massive jaws, lined with 60 serrated railroad spike teeth, snap shut on the bony frill of the herbivore. The sound of shattering bone is like a forest fire, snapping, popping, and splintering. The bull bellows, a sound of pure prehistoric agony, as he tries to throw the king off his back. He lunges upward, his brow horn carving a jagged crimson canyon through the Rex's thigh. The T-Rex doesn't retreat. He leans into the pain, his massive neck muscles bulging like steel cables as he uses his entire body weight to drag the giant warrior to the ground. He releases the frill and readjusts with the speed of a strike team. His jaws lock onto the neck. This is the moment evolution has been building toward for millions of years. 12,000 pounds of pressure begin to work. The windpipe collapses. The cervical vertebrae snap like twigs. The struggle becomes a frantic, dying dance in the dust of Hell Creek. The giant falls. A 10-ton mountain of meat and bone hits the earth, sending a cloud of dust into the humid air. The king of Hell Creek stands over his prize, his breath coming in ragged, bloody gasps. The siege is over. The king has claimed his throne. But in this world, a kill this large is not just a meal. It is a beacon. The scent of fresh marrow and hot blood is already traveling for miles, carried on the wind to every hungry shadow in the forest. The battle of strength is won, but the battle for the prize is just beginning. You won't believe who is coming to dinner. Hit that like button if you felt that impact, because next, we see the aftermath of the feast and the true price of being the king. Silence returns to Hell Creek, but it is a heavy, metallic silence. The dust begins to settle over the fallen Titan, and the king stands alone. He doesn't roar in triumph. He doesn't have to. The crimson mask covering his snout and the steam rising from the carcass are all the proclamation he needs. He begins the feast. This isn't a delicate process. With a jerk of his massive neck, he strips 300 pounds of flesh in a single bite. You can hear the sound of ribs snapping like dry kindling as he reaches the nutrient-rich organs. This is the ultimate prize, the high-calorie fuel required to maintain a 7-ton engine of destruction. But he is not truly alone. In the shadows of the ferns, eyes are watching. Small, feathered dromaeosaurs, the scavengers of the Cretaceous, skulk at the edge of the clearing. They catch the scent of copper and marrow on the wind. They are the hyenas of this world, waiting for the king to take his fill. The Rex ignores them. To him, they are nothing more than flies at a banquet. As the sun begins to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in bruises of purple and gold, the king finally turns away. He is gorged, his belly full, his dominance re-established for another day. He moves toward the river to wash the blood from his jaws, his gait slow and rhythmic. It is easy to see him as a monster, but in the grand design of Hell Creek, he is the balance. He is the force that keeps the herd strong and the ecosystem moving. He has ruled this land for millions of years, an unbroken line of kings reaching back into the deep dark of time. He does not know that the clock is ticking. He does not know that in the distant reaches of space, a rock is screaming toward Earth that will end his reign forever. But tonight, that doesn't matter. Tonight, the Earth still tremors under his feet. Tonight, he is the beginning and the end. If you survived the siege of Hell Creek, let us know in the comments which apex predator we should follow next. Smash that subscribe button to join our tribe and never miss a hunt. The king has spoken, and the world listens.